Hello everyone! Today we're taking a look at the worldwide ice cream empire of Jen and Barry. With headquarters in Orlando, Florida, they produce and sell ice cream all over the world. And it's Jen Hart and Barry Young. Jen and Barry have given me some questions. Of course, they want the usual revenue, margins, timelines, previous periods comparisons. Also, they want to find out if there are any correlations between their sales and temperatures, sunshine hours, and inhabitants of the countries they sell to. Then they want to analyze market shares by country, have a rolling average in some of the timelines, and establish a monthly report. I have already shown plenty about importing and formatting the data in previous videos, so this time we're just going to take a very quick look at the raw data and then jump right to Power BI. We don't have too many tables here. Of course, we have the fact invoices table that has about 8,600 invoices, which is not too much. We have the dimension products table, dimension customers, dimension weather data, which includes sun hours and temperatures, production cost, of course the date table, the consumption, which is necessary to calculate market shares, and we have a separate table with measures. Of course, invoice table with all the invoices, unit prices, revenue by position. Oh, there was a finance cost category. Oh yeah, there. Yeah, but we decided not to consider that. And we need the production costs, which fortunately had been already figured out by someone else. If you've ever figured out production costs for any product that is remotely complex, I mean as complex as having 3 different ingredients, you know how much fun that is. So luckily I didn't have to do that, somebody else did that. I got that from another table with a lookup value because the relationship didn't really make sense. Of course we have the products with the target price. We have the production cost itself. So for each type, for each sort of ice cream, we have a different production cost for each year, but it's only been established once a year, not monthly. We have tables with consumptions. How many inhabitants do the countries have that we sell to? And how many gallons of ice cream do they usually consume? Of course, we have a date table. The credit for this again goes out to Mr. Nikolai Schuler, who is one of the best teachers for Power BI. As you can see, I'm sticking to my usual scheme of showing revenue in green, margin in blue, direct costs and all different costs in shades of red, but I have adapted to the corporate color palette. So I'm using their green and their pink and their blue, and have added a nice gold yellow shade. This is the revenue page. It shows the development of the revenue over time with a 3-month rolling average in it. I have a time slicer here which shows the relation between, it shows the sizes of revenue and direct cost by product name, which you can slice by year or look at the whole time, but the timeline at the bottom remains unaffected by it. On the next page I have the margin, also with a 3-month rolling average and this light blue color. And then the sum of gallons sold by product name. So amounts I put in this shade of yellow. Here also I have a year slicer that does not affect the timeline at the bottom. Yeah, there's a lot of changes. You do get a lot of changes in business numbers sometimes if you have a lot of moving parts, like changing economic situations in different countries, changing product costs, all sorts of influences. Then I have a page about the countries, revenue and margin by country. And this can sometimes be quite a surprise to the managers, to the people who run the company, that they see such differences in categories. Like almost all the revenue and almost all the margin is made in the United States. The United Kingdom is a far away second. And depending on which year, that changes a little bit, but the United States and United Kingdom are almost always in the two top spaces. So of course then you may wonder, what do we do about the rest of the world? Do we develop it, or do we just forget about it and concentrate on the United States? Might make either decision. Then of course we have a map with a time slicer. Yeah, we can see that in 2018 and 19 we still had some sales in China. By 2020 China is out of the picture. There's not much in India. I have learned during this project that in India the people obviously consume the least ice cream all over the world. Except, I don't know about North Korea. I guess they don't have too much ice cream either. But from the ones we know. Yeah, so the rest doesn't vary too much from year to year, right? You can also pick months here. Okay, so January 2020 wasn't too much in the United States. A lot in Mexico and a lot in the United Kingdom. Then I've set up a product page. I have a line chart here about the revenue of the product categories. We have basic, which includes such sorts like chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. Then we have regular, which is has a bit of imagination, and then fancy. This one is affected by the time slicer. And I made a table with the different kinds of ice cream. So caramel obviously brings in a lot of revenue, but not necessarily a lot of margin. Again, varying from year to year. Yeah, it's never really great with the caramel. Oh, okay, 2018 wasn't too bad. Not too bad a year for caramel. But the production cost we only have for each year. But it is sort of interesting when we filter the different sorts. We see in the bottom left, we see the development of production cost. Yeah, caramel keeps going up. Caramel sea salt goes down in 2022 and then up in 23. And this can have all sorts of reasons. So this would have to be investigated on its own. Cherry vanilla sounds quite awful. Yeah, I wonder how they pulled that off with the production costs, whether that is a mistake. Probably isn't, but could be. How did they bring that down quite considerably? Who knows? And here we have a monthly report. Again, the title is a card visual, for which I concatenated monthly report with the selected value of month and year. I think this one has all the important ingredients. It has revenue and margin comparison. With comparison to last year, we have the amounts of gallons sold. Revenue compared to last year, revenue year to date compared to last year, same with margin. And then the differences calculated. We have the top 7 products by margin. Of course, in 2018, you don't have a last year because that's the year where the data began. And from 2019 on, you have the comparison to last year. And there are quite some changes from month to month, which are the top products. What is the margin percentage? Here it doesn't vary too much. The margin percentage is quite okay. And then of course in 2020 it goes down considerably. We know why. Margin goes down considerably. Margin percentage goes down considerably. 2021 not yet really fully recovering. Slow recovery, and then of course in 2020 then in most cases the current year is higher than the previous year. And you get quite some changes, and that's because you have so many moving parts. You have changing production costs, a varying mix of ice cream flavors sold, and a varying mix of countries sold to. So you tell me whether this is a good monthly report. We do not have data about the overhead. I was not asked to incorporate that. So with the data down to margin, I think this is a decent monthly report. You tell me. Next, I was asked to examine the correlation between amounts of gallons sold and daily sun hours by month. I've done this in two ways. Up here I have a table where I just divide the sum of gallons sold through the average daily sun hours of that month. And if you get a more or less consistent value through that division, there will be a strong correlation. In December, with almost all consumer goods, you will expect to get an increase in sales anyway, regardless of temperature, sun hours or what, because of the Christmas festivities and because people spend more at the end of the year. And also I have these column charts here. So I can click through the different places and click through different years, and with the sun hours we can see that in most places there is a correlation. See, yeah. Well, Medellin has sort of more constant sun hours per month than Berlin has. But you can see the graphs look sort of similar, except as expected for December, because then people buy more because of the Christmas festivities. With temperature, there also is a correlation visible. It's not as strong as the sun hours, which confirms results of earlier market studies about ice cream, where they said that it correlates a lot more with sun hours than with temperatures. So we do not have the exact dates for every year, every month, but we have average data of sun hours per year in that specific place. Now about correlations between number of inhabitants of the country and amount of gallons sold. And as you can see, India has a lot of people, but they consume very little ice cream anyway. I think they're the lowest ice cream consuming nation on the planet, except for ones we might not know about. And China has a lot of people, but not very much ice cream consumption, particularly not from us. And in 2020, China drops off our map anyway because they stop buying. And you can see the sales are so small in most places that the data bars do not even register, except for United States and United Kingdom. So we can safely say, for us, there is no correlation between number of country inhabitants and amount of gallons sold. Now with the market shares, it's a completely different story. We only have average amount of gallons consumed in those countries that we're selling to, but those are statistics combined. Those are average of several years. We do not have the data for each year. We do not know in which countries the consumption went down during 2020-21. These are only long-term averages per year. And yeah, we do not know. Did consumption go up? Did consumption go down? There are some countries about which we have no data, like Andorra. Yeah, we don't know. I mean, it's only 79,000 people anyway. And Liechtenstein is even fewer people. So one might be able to make assumptions about Andorra. It's between France and Spain, and the culture is sort of a mix of the two. So you maybe would iterate that over the number of inhabitants of that country. You might get a reliable number. Also Vatican City, which is is it the smallest country on earth? Something like that. So yeah, one might make assumptions based on Italy that's surrounding it, or maybe they don't consume ice cream because they're all not into the material world. I don't know. Yeah, so we would have to either get a lot of specific data and probably pay solid money for that, or we would have to make assumptions which are more or less reliable. So this is what we have now, which is quite clear. We have large market shares in the United States and in the United Kingdom, so that's pretty solid. That's probably so. Also in Spain we have a solid market share, as in Portugal, but there are just not enough people to carry the business, to provide substantial revenue. Therefore, yeah, I don't know how much that means. This would have to be analyzed in much more depth. Just based on the numbers that we have, I've created a timeline here, and I can select different countries. About Algeria, we have nothing, but Argentina. Yeah, but this is all based on the assumption that the consumption didn't go up or down during the pandemic year. So who knows? Yeah, this is a first estimate, but we would need a lot deeper analysis and more data to report something solid here. At the end, as usual, have fun, Godspeed, see you next time.